Welcome back to another video. In today's video, I'm going to be doing a January wrap up of all the books I read. So let's get into it. Yeah. Before we get into it, please subscribe if you're not. Make sure to like, comment, share your thoughts. I posted a quick little wrap up of all the books I read, and in this video I'm gonna go into a more detailed thoughts and opinion over the books. I would say January was a good read month. I had a 5-star read. I didn't DNF any books, so pretty solid read month. I'm gonna go ahead and pull up my Goodreads so we can get into the tea. So the first book I read was 107 Days by Kamala. This was also on my January TBR list, which are my list of books that I would like to get through each month. So I'm very happy that oh my gosh, I didn't turn my mic. Unfortunately, I'm not redoing all of that, so we're just gonna turn it on now. We've been filming for 5 minutes without a mic. It's gonna be fine. I actually listened to it on audio, and I always enjoy when authors or when the subject of the books, especially memoirs, when they read their own books. I think it adds an extra element to the experience hearing it directly from them. So this book was a 3.5 star for me. The book is a very detailed account of her presidential race. I think there was one other person that had her beat, but for the most part, she had a historically very short period of time to campaign to become the president of the United States. So in the book, she goes into detail every single day. She basically documented every day what was going on, why she made certain decisions during her campaign. I found it interesting that even though she didn't know she was going to be running for president, like it wasn't a solid thing, it was still a well-known reality within their circles that Biden probably shouldn't be running. One thing that really surprised me, and I actually don't know why, because I've come to find out that it's actually very well known that her and Biden did not have a great relationship, or I don't know. Me personally, when I think of president, I'm not political at all, clearly. I know what I need to know, and that's about it. But when I think of president and vice president, I'm thinking like two people that are working pretty closely together constantly. That is not how she characterized her relationship with Biden at all. At all. It just seemed like they were doing two different things, which obviously like delegation, but at the same time, from her POV, it seemed like she was not being properly utilized as a vice president. She was kind of just there as the prop. She was initially very strategically selected to boost Biden, and that remained consistent from Kamala's perspective. It remained consistent throughout the whole Biden-Harris administration. It was clear that they were just not working together at all. Like she was assigned things and then kind of just like ignored. So that was very shocking. I must say I was very, very surprised because they fooled me for sure. Anyways, needless to say, Biden was not happy to give up the race, and he didn't really support Kamala. Something else that was very interesting in the book was the night of the election and what happened behind the scenes, finding out that she was likely losing. She received a lot of criticism. She received a lot of hate, like a lot of hate throughout her whole campaign. Obviously, who she was running against. Trump is somebody who incites hate against anyone that he does not agree with. And also within her own party, we live in a misogynist world. They never really wanted her to win. So she also received a lot of hate within her own party as well. And specifically the night of the election, there was a lot of questions about, oh, why didn't she come out? Why didn't she just leave all these people out there? Why didn't she say anything to the crowd? So it was very fascinating to read what her thought process was and why. And it honestly checked out. It made sense. And it goes to show that sometimes there's a way bigger picture than what we see surface. Initially, the reason why I wanted to read this was because I felt like I was hearing so many like mixed reviews. At first, it was really bad reviews, and then it kind of like leveled out. I liked reading it. It was her experience. It wasn't like a personal attack at anybody. Maybe Biden. Maybe Biden, because there's a lot of shade towards Biden. She wasn't really like attacking. She was just sharing her story. I think you should be allowed to just share your story how you want to share it. The next book I read was This Happened to Me by Kate Price, and I went into this book basically blind. I usually do. I usually go into most books blind. But this one, you know, I always know like usually memoirs are filled with like ups and downs and just like the hardest parts of people's lives. But this one was like very intense. It was my only 5-star read this month. First of all, she sets the tone right from jump. Like as soon as the book starts, she is letting you know where you're in for, that you're not in for a fluffy story. It's going to be hard hitting. It's going to be very intense. It's not a flowery story at all. Like it's not a flowery story at all, but it's also a story of overcoming, of going back into these spaces and doing your part to better these spaces that you found yourself in now that you're out. So basically the book recounts Kate Price. It's a memoir. So it recounts her life. She recounts her life growing up, being sexually abused, and not only sexually abused, being a victim of child trafficking and not only being a victim of child trafficking, but being a victim of child trafficking at the hands of her father, of her family, really. It is a generational cycle that has existed within their family and within the culture they grew up in. So she grew up in Appalachia, in the mountains of Pennsylvania. But essentially, she didn't even have awareness that she was being trafficked until years later when her memories started to come back to her, which is insane. So her dad would drug her, and then he would her with others. In addition to that, also within her household, her dad was very abusive. Like, he was violently abusive. He would beat them all the time. It's so crazy to think about people surviving like such horrific situations, because the way she described the abuse, the violence that he perpetrated towards them, I'm just like, but I'm so amazed by survivors, because I just can't even imagine. Glory to God, because some people have survived things that they were never meant to survive, and it took the courage of her mom finally leaving her dad to get that ball rolling. But she's eventually able to make it out. She grabbed hold of that opportunity and ran with it. She went to school, not only her undergrad, her master's, she also got her PhD, and she's now working as an advocate within the space of sexual abuse and trafficking. She's gone back to her hometown to continue to break those cycles for other families and other children that are falling victim to this culture of like fathers trafficking the women in their family. So yeah, this was a 5-star read. I highly recommend. It is so worth the read. It's so informative as well. There's a lot to be learned. Not only does she take us through her experience, but she also takes us through her recovery and how she overcame. And honestly, it was just a really good read. I gave it a 5 stars, so I think that speaks for itself. On to the third book I read this month, Slow Productivity by Newport. He breaks down like productivity, what we tend to view as productivity, which actually he considers busyness. His argument was basically like society thinks being busy and having things to do equals productivity, when productivity is actually the results of your hard work. So productivity is more about the quality of the hard work versus just hard work that produces quantitative results. So he breaks down the difference between busyness and productivity and how to achieve productivity, what steps to take. So it's pretty much just a deep dive into the definition of productivity. I give it a 3 star. So the fourth book I read this month was The Housemaid's Secret. This took me by surprise. I did not think I was going to care for it, but I ended up really eating it up. I really liked this book. So it's technically a series, but it's like standalone books within a series. I read the first book, The Housemaid, last year, or I think 2024 I read it, and I didn't really care for the first one. It was good, but I'm not a thriller. Like, that's not my genre. That's not my genre that I like reach for. But I was doing my review on The Housemaid, and I was just like, let me just give her another try. So I read The Housemaid's Secret, and I gave it a 4 star. A solid 4 star. It is better than the first one. It had me hooked from honestly jump. So basically, this cycle of books is about Millie. She's like a contradiction. She cares so much about people's rights that she does bad things to ensure them. And it's usually wives that are in abusive relationships. She helps them get out by any means necessary. If you've read the first one, another part of this book that was very fun was her love interest. Never expected that, but definitely loved that development. So overall, I gave this book a 4 star. Last but not least, the final book I read, Beartown. I finally finished Beartown. I did a whole reading vlog of reading it in 24 hours. So I do plan on dropping that soon. So keep an eye out for that. But I finally completed it, and that's all that matters. It was good. I gave it a 4 star. And it was always good from jump. Like, it was never not good. I don't know why it was so hard for me to like sit down and read it. I think I probably should have listened to it, but I'll listen to a memoir all day long. But I don't know how I feel about listening to like fiction books. So that was also holding me back a little bit. So that's gonna wrap up January. I had a pretty solid month of reading. That's gonna complete this video. Thank you guys so much for watching. If you made it this far, if you've read any of these books, let me know your thoughts, and I will see you guys in February's wrap up. I have some solid books in my TBR that I'm really excited about, and I have so many books in Libby that came in that I'm trying to get through as well. So I will see you guys in that video next month, same time. Bye.